This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations. Come for the craft beer, bourbon, whiskey, and great drinks. Stay for the conversations. Here's your host, Jonathan Green.
Welcome into another Bar Conversations. I hope 2022 is going well for you still. I know we're only a few weeks in, but I hope it's going well for you. Hope your team's doing well in the playoffs, too, for all of you football fans out there. We've got a great episode for you this week. We do healthy cocktails on our tasting notes with Jake Sulek, and then we chat with country musician and soon-to-be dad, Josh Gallagher, for our full conversations. Don't forget to check us out across social media at Hop Spirits, all one word, and go to hopspirits.com to find a lot of cool things, and you can also sign up for our newsletter there, our Monday Hangover, which is out now and being out all year. We just started it, so check that out, and let's not waste any more time. Let's get to a fun show.
It's almost time. Where did I put those? Here they are. It's time for tasting notes.
We're back with another edition of Tasting Notes, and once again joining us is Jake Sulek, the beverage director partner with the Professors LLC. He's also been behind the bar, just does an amazing job, and I always appreciate his time. Jake, welcome back.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Now, we're in the new year, and I feel like obviously most people do New Year's resolutions, and the most popular one, of course, is to be healthier. Well, if we like to drink, what can we and make cocktails or whatever? What's something we can do? And if it's avoid some of that, maybe that's what we have to do.
Yeah, to be really healthy, you want to avoid both alcohol and sugar, which is difficult because those are two of the four main ingredients in a cocktail. You can't really have a cocktail without an alcoholic base and without a sugar. That's what makes it what it is. But there are a couple things you can do to sidestep around that. First of all, you can focus on lower ABV cocktails. We're in an age right now where we've got so many 100 proof and overproof spirits. You can go ahead and leave those on your back bar and start focusing on 80 proof spirits instead. That'll make it a little bit easier on your liver, and that'll definitely shave some calories off. But when you're making cocktails that have got both alcohol and sugar, I think something to bear in mind is to put away anything that you would buy off of a store shelf. There are a couple different reasons for it. First of all, you generally don't know exactly what's in it and how it's prepared. It usually has high fructose corn syrup for starters. So when you're making something as simple as a whiskey sour at home, make sure you prepare your simple syrup yourself rather than buying one of those pre-bought bottles. And the same applies for something like a margarita. You never want to use the pre-bottled sweet and sour mix. Those things are loaded with unhealthy chemicals. They're loaded with sugar. You're better off to stay away from it. Something that's caught on for years now has been this idea of a skinny margarita. Mm-hmm. And it always makes me chuckle when I look at it because what it actually is just a real margarita made without any artificial flavors, which is the simplest thing in the world. Take 3/4 ounce lime juice, 3/4 ounces of an orange liqueur of your choice. I really like Cointreau. If you want something a little bit more rich, get a nice dry Curacao. And then 1.5 to 2 ounces of a good tequila. That is really a true skinny margarita because you're eliminating all of the artificial sugars that would be in it and just what we need to actually make a great cocktail.
Well, and you kind of mentioned those lower proofs. What about what some might consider like the liqueurs or the flavored whiskeys, things like that kind of come in at the 50, 60, 70 proof range? I mean, are those options, or is that something also to watch out for as well?
No, that's it. It's a nice way to make low alcohol, more sessionable style drinks. And this is a European tradition that goes back for hundreds of years, is to make something similar to what the Italians call a spritz. You can take a liqueur that you like a lot that you have on your back bar. Maybe it's something like an orange liqueur, like a Cointreau or a dry Curacao. Put 2 ounces of that in a glass, top it up with ice cubes, and then just hit it with seltzer. Just hit it with soda water. And what you've got is, something that's 80 proof or less. And while it does have sugar, we're not adding any additional sugar to it. It's going to be bubbly, so it's going to be refreshing. You're going to enjoy drinking it. And because it's on ice and in a highball, it's going to be a tall drink. So it's going to take you a little bit longer to go through it so that you can sip on it, enjoy it over the course of, 30 to 60 minutes without having, maybe a smaller cocktail pour that you're going to go through faster.
Well, and then I think another trend that has really come off is, the non-alcoholic beers, and even now the non-alcoholic spirits. You got Seedlip, Spiritless 74 for whiskey, and there's many other Zero Ritual or Proof. I can't remember what it's exactly called. Can you mix those in as well and kind of do a replacement? But it's definitely got to be for a cocktail. You can't be drinking those on the rocks.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're a wonderful substitute for spirits, and a lot of them are really well crafted. You've got all of the big brands, brands like Tanqueray now have jumped in with their own zero proof versions of that. So they make wonderful mixed beverages. They're not going to be a cocktail per se because they don't have any alcohol in them. But if that's what you're looking for, Seedlip is a wonderful alternative to using spirits. And a lot of times you can take a great base template for a cocktail, substitute a zero proof spirit, and you're going to get the same impact with no alcohol at all.
Well, and it sounds like people just need to be willing to try a little bit and maybe experiment this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. Step outside of your comfort zone.
Well, Jake, I appreciate it as always, and thank you for bringing in the new year with us.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hops Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopsspirits.com.
Joining us here on the Bar Conversations is country musician and soon-to-be dad, Josh Gallagher. Josh, welcome in.
What's up, man? How are you guys?
I'm good. Now, we were kind of joking beforehand. I was making sure you had a drink, and you're like, Hops and Spirits, I already knew what to do. So what are you drinking tonight?
Well, this is a nice crispy Busch Light in a fancy Camo Josh Gallagher koozie.
I like it.
ADmusic.net. Get your own right now.
I like that. Good plug too.
Yeah.
Good plug. See, I went on the whiskey side a little, out of Columbus, Ohio, a little Middle West Spirits, some straight rye whiskey, dark pumpernickel. It's a pretty nice little pour there. So I figured I'd go on the spirit side since you're going on the hop side.
Yeah, that'll work. I actually almost joined you on the spirit side because I had a little bit of a weekend. We'll just put it that way. And I drink. I drink. I'm a beer guy, whatever. But I almost hopped on the whiskey side with you. So, but I was like, you know what? I'll go. I'll keep true to myself. I'm a big Jack Daniels guy. I like whiskey too, but majority of the time I'm a beer guy. But I had a little hefty beer drinking weekend, if you know what I mean. So
I've been there.
We're back at it. Yeah.
Now, for those that may not know about you, or are like, man, I think I've heard that name. How would you describe your style of music? Because it's country, but I feel like you put your own little spin on it too.
Yeah, man, that's a great question actually, and this is probably one of the I wouldn't say harder questions that I get asked, but more intricate maybe is a better word. But I don't know, man. It's weird. So we're obviously a country, bunch of country guys playing country music, but we really, really rely on that heavy rock and roll, almost metal distortion kind of tone in what we do. And I really, really enjoy that because I grew up playing in, shitty little middle school, high school garage bands that we all dick around with whenever we're kids, and playing out around town and dragging our parents out to watch us come play this, not great music, but our parents have to, tell us, oh, it was great, that kind of stuff. So I've always had a big heart for really heavy distortion guitars and as far as that sound goes, that kind of audio, I don't want to say quality, whatever. But I think what we do that's a little bit different that I've really noticed, and especially the most recent stuff that we've released, is we do that heavy rock country stuff, but we lace it with a lot of like slide steel guitar. So kind of we bring in that old kind of traditional, country instrument, country sound a little bit, but one of my favorite instruments is steel guitar, just in general. I just love the way that it sounds. It's when you do it the right way, like our steel player Cody James McKinney, shout out Cody. But when you play it like he does, and he can get you those like really cool, just like whale kind of sounds that just kind of fill in different spots, it's a really cool different tone and different sound that we go after. So that's kind of how I describe our sound anyway. I would say that, like, I've heard people say that we're like a mixture of like Metallica and Chris Stapleton, I guess, as far as like heavy in the way that I can sing, kind of a little bit with a little bit of Aaron Church mixed in there, maybe. Yeah, I guess, yeah, right, yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and too, like you talked about, playing when you were younger. What got you into music? Was it just picking up an instrument, or family, or what was it that drew you into music? Not just into music, but playing music.
Yeah, man. That one's actually easy. I don't know why or what it was, but for some reason, one day when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I just said to my parents that I wanted a guitar, and they got me my first guitar. It was an old, actually Carlo Robelli. They still make acoustic guitars, but it was a Carlo Robelli, all red, with that like red sunburst kind of thing on it. But I don't know where it stemmed from, to be honest with you. I played sports and stuff growing up, football, baseball. I wrestled there for a little bit, even tried the old karate aspect, and that didn't work out. But I was in middle school. When I was in middle school, I was in band, actually. I played the saxophone. Not a lot of people know this, but I actually played the saxophone, the alto sax, in band. And I don't know where it came from, where or why I wanted to, or I thought music was cool, something I would want to try. I don't know how that came about, to be 100% honest with you. My parents will tell you that they don't have a lick of musical ability in their bodies, but don't let them fool you. They can carry a little bit of a tune, Mom and Dad. Don't think that, I see what you're doing out there, being humble, which is good. But no, I don't know where it came from, man, to be honest with you. I just remember I was like 9 or 10. I think it was 10. But one day I was like, I want a guitar. And they got me my first guitar, and I just started teaching myself how to play. And the very first song I taught myself how to play was Mary Had a Little Lamb. Everybody knows that melody, so I stuck in my head in one chord, and Mary Had a Little Lamb, And it just kind of went from there, man, to be honest with you. And I don't know how I got into it. I don't know if it just clicked one day, or because there was nobody else in my family does or did music. Now, my aunt, I will say, she played guitar, or she took guitar lessons whenever she was in middle school or high school or something. And I actually have her old nylon string guitar, old Yamaha, that actually is one of my favorite guitars to play, like in studio for softer guitar part stuff. But I don't know where it came from. I don't.
It wasn't to try to pick up a girl or anything.
No, man, no, huh? I mean, I don't think at 10 years old yet I was worried about girls, or maybe I was, but no, it just kind of blossomed from there, and I taught myself how to play, and then eventually, like I said, I started getting to garage bands, and my first band that I was in was called a band called Panic Mode, and we were this hardcore punk kind of band in the late 90s or 2000s, I guess now, right? But yeah, man, I don't know where it came from. It just kind of stemmed from somewhere I'm not really sure of, and it has completely taken over my life.
just a little bit,
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah.
I mean, you talk about playing, like a punk rock kind of thing, the garage band. What was that the type of music you grew up on, or influenced you, or is there other stuff, older country artists, or anything like that influenced you along the way, or you grew up on?
It was a lot of everything that you just said. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I grew up listening to country because that's what my parents listened to, and back then when you were a kid, you listened to whatever your parents listened to,
mm-hmm.
So they always just had country music on, and I remember specifically one of the very first country artists I ever heard was because of my dad was Toby Keith, and mm-hmm. he's still to this day one of my favorite country artists. And so I always grew up around country, but I think one of the first things that I really remember as far as getting into like playing in was like shitty little garage bands and stuff like that was my brother played so my brother was, if he watches this, he might shoot me, but that's all right. But my brother was, he was in that punk, chains, studded leather jacket, paint marker all over it, punk spiked hair phase, right? And he played bass in a little band of his for a while, and he played this red Fender. I think it was a P bass, which now knowing what that bass was, I would have never got rid of it. But that was like the first like band thing that I picked up and kind of started noodling around with. So I started playing bass, and then I kind of moved to electric guitar, and then from there my bandmates were like, well, you should sing or try singing. And then from there I tried singing, and then it was kind of game over. So several different influences. I think probably my brother playing bass and seeing like, man, that looks fucking cool. I want to do that, and then taking that into, as I got older, really having a respect for country music and the sound and the lyrical content and the storytelling and all that. And then just kind of mixing in my own version of, hey, let's throw a bunch of heavy ass guitars over some like country lyrics and country melodies and throw some steel in it. And that's our brand of country, but no, I grew up around country, my whole entire life. And, man, I used to, the Ramones were probably the first band that I ever covered back that we ever covered as a band back in the day. And yeah, man. So just, it's a lot of musical influence, which I think comes out in our stuff, back in the day. Still, actually, I used to listen to a lot of Atreyu, heavy metal band, Avenged Sevenfold. A lot of people, majority of people, I feel like, know who Avenged Sevenfold is. But, man, I went through a lot of phases. Everything from, like, T.I. to, everything from, like, T.I. to Secondhand Serenade to, like, Dave Matthews to, just, like, everything. Like, I listened to a bunch of shit.
Yeah, the iPod on shuffle would just be a different genre every song.
Oh, every song, yeah, for sure, absolutely. And it's funny. I like the fact you say iPod. That's how you know that we're, I guess, getting old. I don't know, but iPod.
Yeah.
Remember, and before the iPods, it was the big ass brick MP3 players. Remember they were like that thick. Yeah.
Yep. We've come so far, so far.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Now, growing up in Pennsylvania, because you grew up Eastern PA. I wouldn't say. Would you say country out there, or how would you classify that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So West Central PA, more towards I grew up like 2 hours east of Pittsburgh. Really,
okay.
Pretty much is what it was. Crescent, Pennsylvania. And a lot of people ask where you're from. I normally tell them like Altoona or State College, because a lot of people refer or kind of relate to State College as Penn State, so they kind of know where it's at a little bit. Because if I tell people Crescent, Pennsylvania, they're like, "Oh, okay," which means I don't know where the fuck that's at.
Yeah. Hey, that happens. I grew up like 45 minutes west of Pittsburgh in West Virginia, and I'd say where I'm from in West Virginia, they'd be like, that could be anywhere, and I'm like, just Pittsburgh.
Yeah, right.
Until I meet someone from Pittsburgh, and they're like, that's not, and I go, I know it's not. Yeah, and well, then you can get into the conversation where you're like, okay, well, cool, where are you from? And you're like, oh shit, I'm from here. Holy shit, let's have a beer. Like that kind of thing. But now, how did that, where you grew up, did that influence you at all? I mean, how did that impact things for you? Because I see the camo.
Yeah, because all over the place. I mean, if I could, well, here, I'll just give you like a quick little tour. There's a deer over there. I got horrible lighting, but like bobcat and camo all over the place. But like, no, so I think it definitely did influence. It definitely did influence me a lot. Where I'm from, I'm from a town of 2,000 people, and it's been that way since I grew up. Basically we're a little farm town surrounded by woods and cornfields, and we just so happen to have a Sheetz, which is awesome. Remember Sheetz?
Oh yeah. I was excited when one of those came into my town.
Yeah. I don't know if I need to start a petition to get Sheetz down here in Nashville or whatever, but I know there's a lot of people from Pennsylvania that'll be like, you know what? We need Sheetz down here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think it did though. I think that really small town rural lifestyle growing up was just helped out and influenced me in a lot of ways. Not just my music, but the way that I was raised. The way that we grew up in the North, obviously, but like my parents always made sure it was yes sir, no ma'am, and hold the door and all that chivalrous stuff that kind of seems to be gone by the wayside now, I feel like. But it has definitely influenced me, not just in my music, but my whole life, my whole upbringing, which I'm proud of that. I'm very, very proud of that.
Well, and when you talk about the music, you've dropped 2 EPs now. Any full album coming soon? I mean, we got something to look forward to this year or soon, maybe? Anything?
Oh, man.
Teasing?
Maybe. I don't know. No, I do. So, yeah, I dropped 2 EPs so far. The first EP was self-titled. It was a 6-song EP. Second one I dropped, when was that? That was the COVID EP. So I dropped that right at the beginning of February of 2020 when everything started to go to shit. That EP is called Turnaround. Yeah, just a touch. Not a bunch or anything, just a little. But I dropped that in February, I think February or March of 2020, and that record, that EP was called Turnaround Town. And I got some more music in the works. I have 4 singles out so far this year. Wait, no, this is 2022 already. Holy shit. 4 singles out last year. I'm dropping a new single in February of this year, and then I got a whole record, my first full-length 10-song record coming out in March of this year. So we got that. That's the first record, and then we have another full-length record coming out at the end of this year.
Ooh, so you're ready to...
Dropping 2 full-length records this year. My first debut 10-song full-length record will be out this year, which I'm very, very proud of, because we've always dropped singles and kind of tried to do the thing where we match that up with a couple other songs to make an EP, right? Mm-hmm. But the way that the streaming industry, specifically Spotify, is kind of changing a little bit now. For the longest time, it was a singles market, but now they're really, really starting to push records again, which I absolutely love, because that's what I grew up listening to. Like they call them concept records now, where you would listen to song number 1 to song number 10 or 12 would be a whole story of songs, right? That's what I grew up listening to. That's what you grew up listening to. That's like, so I'm glad that I'm able to finally put out a record that, and I could have put out a full length record before, but it just wouldn't have been. It would have been the right time, 1, and 2, we wouldn't have had the songs that we have now to put out to really make people go, oh shit, that kind of thing. So 2 records coming out.
That's quite impressive. And I was gonna say, I mean, with that many songs and things, I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you write. Do you write most of the songs, or is it a collaborative effort, or how does that go?
No, I write them all. So I've had a couple offers for outside cuts, and nothing. I'm not against outside cuts at all. I just want to state that right out of the gate. Anybody that watches this or listens, artist, songwriter, whatever, I'm not opposed to any outside cuts at all. I just really like being a part of the whole entire process instead of getting pitched a song, listening to it, and I might love it. There's been songs that have been pitched to me that I'm like, God, that's a great song, but I just unless I put my pen to paper, I just feel less of a connection to it. And that might be a very old school way to look at it, or a very Eric Churchy way to look at it, because he's the same way. And I might get it from him too, honestly, because he's one of my biggest idols. But I just feel like it's more important to me to be a part of the whole entire process, from taking an idea or an experience that goes here, thinking about it, making it work in your head, spitting it out, put it on paper, cut the vocal for it on a demo, go in with your band, cut the thing for a record, and say, hey, this is what we did from step 1, literally from a baby to this big, giant, full production song now. So So every song that I've ever put out, I've written. Yeah.
And I always like to ask this too, because it's always I always find this interesting. Does it just start as a random idea, or are you pulling from personal experiences, or a little bit of both?
Both for me, to be honest with you. So there's I'll use a song like "Look at Me Now." It was a single off of my first EP, and I wrote that. That was the very first song I wrote about my wife, or for my wife rather, and that's a personal experience for me. That also stemmed from an idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you take the phrase "Look at Me Now," a lot of people take that. And if you just say it as a phrase by itself, a lot of people take that and they think of it, or it registers in people's heads this way. So look at me now, like, oh, look at me now. Like all that shit, right?
Yeah. Pay attention to me, me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Look what I did. But if you take it from a songwriter standpoint, the way my brain works is I want to take that and I want to try to flip that hook to make it mean two different things, or as many things that we can make that phrase or those two words or three or four, whatever words work out to be, right? So look at me now uses a personal experience because at the time, like when I first met my wife, right? Look at me now. Look at me. At that point, if you looked at me now, at that point, it was more of like I was sitting in bars all the time. I was drinking myself to death, just miserable, and then this beautiful creature of a woman walks in my life out of nowhere, and she makes me a better person, someone that I didn't even know that I could be. So then it's like, okay, so look how this transformation went, and now look at me, like that kind of thing. Like I'm a way better person. Like, so it's a lot of both, really. So I use that as an example of both. But there are ideas that I do have or that I come up with that I'm like, you know what? I don't know what the fuck this is yet, but this is cool. I don't know how to get it there, but let me think on it for a minute and I'll get it there. But like I'll use a song I put out this year. But the very first single I put out this year is a song called Brightside, and it's another song I wrote for my wife. I'm gonna talk her up for sure. But
smart man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brightside. That was a song that I walked into the writer's room that day, and I was a little bit late. Shocker. But I walked in a little bit late, and I wrote it with Dan Alley, Mark Addison Chandler, and John Caldwell. But when I walked in, Dan Alley was playing this guitar part, this lick, and I was like, what is that? Like, I don't know what that is, but that's cool. So we chased that sound and that, whatever that feel was. And then we were like, all right, well, what if it's a song? What does Brightside mean? Someone said Brightside, or we were just bullshitting for about an hour or two, and we just found the hook in the room. So it was that, at that point, it was just an idea that kind of everybody locked onto at the same time. We all looked at each other and we're like, yeah, that's cool. I don't know what that is. So let's take everything that we can, let's try to think on the phrase Brightside and make it the most we can. So we just did we went metaphorical on it, like, you know, like a miner mountain deep needs a way out, you know, Brightside kind of thing, like a ship lost at sea needs a lighthouse, that kind of thing. So, and we just made it very, very metaphorical to where it feels like, I mean, how do I put this? It feels like it's a personal experience, because it kind of is, but it was just an idea at that time, you know? So we just kind of found it in the room. And a lot of times when I'm writing, I really do enjoy finding the hook in the room. As far as, you know, you come into a writer's room with a bunch of hooks, or with, at least for me, like some hooks that I'm like, okay, I know this phrase or this 2 or 3 words is cool. I just don't know exactly what it is yet. I might need a little bit of help. So let's go rack some other people's brains and let's all dive in on this idea. And a lot of times it comes up with like it starts with like a guitar groove or a feel, or like a little drum beat on a keyboard, or like through GarageBand or whatever. But I really, really enjoy finding hooks in the room. because there's a lot of times you go into a writer's room and you're like, what do you guys have? And that's like, okay, here we go again, like that kind of thing. So, especially when you get with a good group of writers that you're comfortable with writing with, and it may be your buddies, it may not be your buddies. For me, I got really lucky that majority of the guys that I write with are my best fucking friends. Like I'll be friends whether I ever leave this town or stay in this town for the rest of my life, that kind of thing. So it just so happened to work out for me where I get to write songs with some of my best friends that we all get each other in the writing room also,
Well, and I was going to say, I mean, you talk about those personal experiences, but, you kind of run the gamut of songs too, because I feel like you got clever, catchy. One of my favorites is Them Cans, Boots Like Mine, These Hands, So, I mean, I guess you just, depending on the mood, is kind of what song you go with?
Yeah, kind of, man. I mean, and to be honest with you, that kind of changes too. You could be on a song idea or a song idea. Let's say you have song idea A over here, and you're playing guitar part or guitar lick or feel for a song feel A over here with title A, right, or hook A, and it might not line up, or sometimes it might. When you're in the room, it's just kind of like, well, what do we feel like this song title or this hook needs to be? And as far as like relating to a song like Them Cans, I came in the writer room with that day with that hook, and I was like, I don't exactly know what this hook is yet, but I know that it's cool, and I know that it doesn't need to be something slow or ballady. I think it needs to be something like a flip on the hook, as far as like them cans, like we drink them cans of beer, but we don't need to, like, don't tell us that we can't do something. And then it was like, oh shit, that's cool. Okay, so let's play on that too. And then we also threw the American, very blue collar, rednecky kind of stuff in there. But yeah, man, it just kind of depends. You could be on a hook. And there's been times when I've been in a room for, man, it seems like hours, just trying to figure out what this hook is and what kind of feel it needs to be. And then eventually someone needs to break the ice. And I feel like a lot of times it's me. I'm like, all right, listen, let's fucking start over. This isn't right at all. So like, let's step out. Let's clear our head for a minute, go outside. Let's drink a beer, whatever. Just clear our heads, come back. And if this is not the idea, that's cool. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem sitting there and figuring out the idea. Even if we don't write something that day, write a whole entire song, I would much rather spend the time figuring out what this idea means and getting the proper direction for it, and then coming back on it later and writing the shit out of it, So it's not a thing where it's like you have 4 hours, at least for me. It's not a thing where you have, we got to write a song in 4 hours. No, get out of here with that crap, Like, if you do write a song in 4 hours or 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever, and it's great, awesome, because I've been in those writes too. But I would much rather, if we're fighting for a song, I'd rather fight for the right way to write it, because I don't want to write, because 99% is not 100%,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
So
go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say.
No, you're good. I talk maybe more than my mom even, and she knows that. Shout out, Mama, love you.
Got to keep all the ladies in your life happy.
That's right, man. That's right. Exactly. That's right.
Now, speaking of that, you're going to be a dad soon, correct? First one
Yes,
coming.
Sir, yep.
All right.
February 16th, little boy.
Are you ready?
I think.
Are you ready for it?
I don't know about ready, but no, we're definitely ready. I mean, how ready can you be to have a kid? It's a decision that you make with your wife or your partner or husband or whatever, that you're like, you know what? I think fuck it, let's go. And I was on the I'm not ready train for a while. and I kind of feel bad a little bit because I know my wife was, she's been, I wouldn't say harping me about it, but the conversation would get brought up a lot the past several years. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I want to be as financially stable as we can be, but fuck that, man. Like, if you're ready, you're ready. Who cares? So yeah, I mean, on the whole, I would say, yeah, we're ready. I'll say that, and then let's do another one of these in about 2 months, and ask me if I'm ready then, and I might be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
I haven't gotten sleep in 5 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, man, we're definitely ready. I got we got his room, his nursery all ready to go, and his crib, and I built him some bookshelves, and just everything in there is ready to go. It's kind of scattered all over the place, so we'll put some final touches on it and get everything a little bit organized and ready for his arrival. But I mean, that's just a weird question. I mean, I feel like we're ready, but I don't think we'll know if we're ready until he gets here. You know, I'm not really sure. We might when he gets here, we might be like losing our mind. I mean, we're first time parents, so we'll figure it out eventually. But no, I think we're ready, man. I mean, it feels like we are, to be honest.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm ready for sure. Yeah, I'm excited. Pardon my French, but I'm excited as fuck to be a dad. Yeah, super excited.
Well,
yeah.
and then too, I was curious about this. Have you gotten any advice that you're just like, I don't know about that? Like, anyone giving you you getting good advice, or are you getting some questionable advice?
We're getting not as much as you would think. I feel like they're birthing classes. I'm like, nah, screw that. No, we don't need to do all that shit. and my wife feels the same way though. She's like, she was like, do you think we need to do birthing classes? I'm like, here's what I think. We could have the best plan, the best plan for attack ever. But once you hit the battlefield, shit goes haywire, and we'll just figure it out, you know? So, but like, but
yep,
I
that's
don't
parenthood.
know, man. Yeah. We'll just, hey, we'll figure it out. But, no, there hasn't been a lot of, I wouldn't call it advice. We've gotten a lot of, hey, you're going to do this, right? Or like, hey, you should do this. Definitely. I'm like, all right, I appreciate it. And we do, trust me. But like, there's some stuff where I'm like, we're definitely not doing that. Yeah. Or there's also some stuff where like, wow, shit, I didn't think about that. Okay, let's definitely look into that then. You know, so it kind of goes both ways. But kind of, I'm just the kind of person that like, just in general in life, I'm like, I'm gonna do it my way. We're gonna figure it out. We might make some mistakes. I might make some mistakes along the way, but I'm going to learn from those mistakes and hopefully not repeat them, you know? But my wife, who I point is out there. She's probably actually sleeping. But she's going to be crucial because she's a teacher and she teaches 3-year-olds. So she's a pre-K teacher, and she's around kids constantly, and I'm going to have to learn a lot of shit from her. So I'm going to be taking most of my advice from her because she knows way better than I do. Being with 12 to 14 3-year-olds every day, she definitely knows a little bit. Not a little bit. I would say way more than me for sure. But no, there's some things where we're like, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna actually do that.
No, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Totally understand
but
that.
But that's gonna happen though, even after he's here. You know, everybody has an opinion, especially nowadays, and that's perfectly fine. You know, everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. Just don't get mad when I don't listen to what your opinion is. You know, that's all.
Oh, yeah, I mean, everyone's got to find their own path. It all works. I mean, that's what we did. It's fun. I mean, I've got a 3-year-old daughter, and it's
Nice.
crazy to see her grow up, and it's just fun being a dad. And you also have this kind of crazy career too, being a musician. I mean, what's that journey been like for you? on that road, because obviously it's going to be a journey in parenthood, but what's it been, what's that road been like for you as a musician, as an artist?
It's been, it's been nuts so far, up until COVID hit, but no, we're crawling out of the COVID hole just like everybody else is. We're getting back on our feet and getting back on the road, but it's been nuts though, ever since being off of The Voice in 2016, it's just been go, just constantly. And just always on the road, always in a writer's room or in the studio. Feels like we're doing a video shoot or a photo shoot or social media planning or social media. So just constantly everything. And it gets a little bit taxing. It does. So I just continue to drink beer and get through it. But, no, it's been great though, man. Super, super grateful. There's a lot of people that in my career so far that I definitely have to thank, and the most important one being my wife for literally putting up with my shit. Because there'll be nights where I don't get home till midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm back at it at 7 a.m. the next day, or I might be on the road for a week or two at a time, and we don't get to see each other, or she'll call me and say, there's the water heater's leaking. What do I do? I'm like, shit, I don't know. I'm sorry. But let me make some calls. I'm not there. Like that kind of shit. But no, man, it's overall, it's been really, really great. And she's been super understanding in the sense that like, this is what I need to do to, pursue my career. This is my career, to keep pursuing this. This is what I need to do. It's just a constant go. But one thing I always do and make sure that I do when I'm not on the road or in the studio or doing any of this shit that I need to do for my job, I guess, because I guess it is a job, but I always make sure when I'm done, I'm done. Donezo, like whether I come off of the road or I'm done in the studio or from the writer's room, or I get a text saying, hey, what do you think this? Nope. Done. When I decide my day's over and I'm with her, don't get a hold of me. That's one thing that I really try to make sure that I do. And because if in my opinion, if you don't, that can be very detrimental to a relationship, especially a relationship in this business, because it's so fucking crazy. There's always shit going on. There's always something you need to be doing. Oh, hey, this label or this important people are having a party over here this night. You should definitely come, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. I guess I got a plan to go to that now. And, oh babe, I'll be home at midnight or 2 a.m. I don't know. Like, but once I'm done, like that's one thing that I do. I don't want to say that I don't see, but I have seen before where a lot of people don't do that and it doesn't end up working out. So my main concern, my main goal in life is to make sure that when I'm done, I don't bring nothing. It's nothing. I don't want to talk music. I don't want to do music. I don't want to social media post or any shit. I want to be with my family and with her and make sure that we have our time together, because my time is so consumed by everything else that I do, So it's been crazy.
You got to have balance. I mean, that's with anything. I mean, especially with the lifestyle of a musician and so forth. And it helps to have that balance, especially, with the growing family and so forth. Mm-hmm. And then you actually get to spend the quality time with your son and so forth. You talk about this crazy life. I mean, getting some big acclaim along the way, from whether it was Rolling Stone or Garth Brooks, what's that like? Because obviously this is something you want to do, but to get that feedback has to be just like the icing on the cake, I would have to think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's very, very it's humbling, to be honest with you. Just coming from a little tiny town that I came from, that I never thought in a million years that I'd be sitting here, making music for a living and playing concerts to thousands of people sometimes. That was not a thing that as you're a kid, that never occurs to you that you could, possibly do, or at least for me it wasn't. But it's really cool when you get these shout outs from like you guys and you got your Garth Brooks and Rolling Stone, and you get a song or a single or a record premiered by Billboard, and it's like, shit, people like it's weird how much people. I think for me, it's more weird how much people actually. I don't want to say care, because care is not the right word, but like are passionate about it as much as are passionate about my music as much as I'm passionate about my music.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fucking cool.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty cool, and I don't mean that in a cocky way. I mean that very much as like, I didn't think like the Voice thing happened in 2016, right? But I took every week while I was on The Voice, like, cool, I made it this far. Let's see how it goes. Week 2 comes around. Cool, I made it this far. Let's see how this goes. Like, I never looked at it as a thing where it was like, I'm going to go out there and just destroy everybody. Like, in my head, I was like, yeah, I got this shit. But I'm like, keep yourself in check, dude. Stay humble. Don't get out of your headspace. Be the person that you know that you are, and everything will work out. And I still live like that. I think that's the way that I think that comes from the way that my parents raised me. Every time that I go home and I go out to the bar or go hang out with friends or whatever, my dad always, for my whole entire life, even still, my dad always looks at me and goes, remember. And what he means by that is just remember who you are. That that kind of thing. So I think that kind of has helped me out a lot. But it's pretty cool, though. It really is. Just to get recognition from those kind of people or those kind of outlets is like, holy shit, it's kind of cool. Like,
well, I mean that means what you're doing is you're on the right track, and things are going well. And I know you also have your Camo Crew. First off, love the name, especially rocking the camo, obviously across the board. But first off, the name, but two, just having fans that know your songs, sing your songs, things like that, and are passionate about what you do. I mean, obviously you mentioned it's pretty freaking cool. I mean, that's just got to be an extra thing that just, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Probably.
Yeah, man, it definitely is. It's super cool. The way the Camo Crew. That's funny that you brought that up. Our fan club name is called Camo Crew, and that actually stemmed from we were at what the hell was it here in town? CRS in February of 2020. The same year that I put out the Turnaround Town EP before everything, hit the fan. And me and my team were at CRS, and we went to an after party that night, and it was in the Bridgestone Arena. And we were hanging out, drinking and partying and stuff. And my videographer went up to my PR point, and he was like, I didn't even come up with it. I was partying, having a good time. Woo, that's good. And he went up to her, and he was like, because forever we were trying to like find the perfect name to call our fan club, because you see, most artists have like Luke Combs, his fan club is called the Bootleggers, right? Like really cool, super badass. And, he went up to her at the party. We were all drinking and partying, and all he said to her was Camo Crew, and she was like, holy shit, that's perfect. And I don't know why we never thought of it before. I wear camo like it's going.
I was gonna say it's on your koozie.
Like it is. Yeah, it's on my koozie. Look at it. It's on my fucking head. I got it on my body. Like I wear camo, but I've always done that. Like ask anybody, all my friends back home, and my parents, and my brother and sister. Like I've always wore camo my whole entire life. That's just my thing, and I stuck with it. And if you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine. But like it just seemed to be. It was just fit. And that's I think that's an all-encompassing thing where I'm glad that we decided to call our fan club the Camo Crew, because a lot of our fans, I feel like, are, those small town, very rural kind of camo wearing, bush light, beer drinking people, so it just kind of seemed to fit. But yeah, man, so it was pretty cool how that worked out. And then we snuck into the Lumineers concert behind the bar because they were playing that same night at the Bridgestone. So thanks for letting us come hang out at your show, Lumineers. Appreciate it.
And you got a great name out of it too. Now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, you talk about always kind of playing music, growing up on it, little bands, playing in probably little lovely buildings and so forth. What would you be doing if this wasn't your career, or would you just be SOL?
Probably both, maybe. I don't really know. So I would still be playing music. I know that I would still be playing music, but I mean, obviously I wouldn't be able to do it in the capacity that I do now, which I'm super, super grateful for. I'm not doing this by myself. I know it looks like it on the forefront, but there's so many fucking people that are helping me out behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. But I'd be still doing it. But I don't know if I would be doing it here or if I would be doing it back home. Because that's how I started. Like, I lived in Pittsburgh for about 3 years after I graduated high school, and played guitar at like college parties at the baseball house and things. And then eventually I was like, well, this isn't working out. I got to move home. And when I moved home, that's when I was like, I kind of want to play a show again. Because at that point I was 21, and I was like, I haven't played a show in forever. I was like, I should probably figure out what I'm doing with the next chapter of my life, because I didn't have any fucking clue. And I started playing out music, and the more like around town, local bars around town, the more shows I played, the bigger and bigger the crowds got, and the venues got a little bit bigger, and all acoustic every Friday and Saturday. So I'd probably be still be doing the same thing. I just don't know if it would be here in Nashville or if it would be back home. I'm not really sure. I will tell you this. Shout out to J-Lock in Creston, Pennsylvania. That was the job I worked at before I moved down to Nashville. And you're going to find this might sound really, really weird, but I was a forklift operator before I moved down here. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of miss driving a forklift around a little bit, like just buzzing around, carrying pallets, or buzzing around the warehouse and dropping off pallets here and loading trucks and shit. And like, it was fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. But so I don't know if I would be still be doing that and playing music on the side, or I would still be playing music somehow or doing something with music, whether I'd be, just sitting at my computer doing stuff myself, or I'd still be writing songs for sure, or playing out just on the weekends. I'm not really sure. I would still be doing music at some capacity, though, for sure.
And surprisingly enough, I was a forklift operator for one day. I passed the test.
Were you really? Nice. Oh, yeah.
I worked in a newspaper, and they were like, well, we got to have enough people trained in case trucks come in. And I was like, oh, shit. I passed the test.
Like, shit. That's awesome.
I never had to do anything, because I was like, the last thing I need to do is put this thing through a garage door, because that could be great.
Oh, man. There were some whatever, it is what it is. This was 10 years ago now, so it doesn't really matter. But there were some times where I might not have, should have been on a forklift. I'll just put it that way.
Take it however you want to take it, people.
yeah, exactly. Right. You do with that what you will. But I'd still be doing music somehow, though, for sure.
You just might have a different day job instead of it being your day job. You might just have a different.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like that.
I'll be honest with you, man. I kind of miss that regular day job kind of thing, and then doing music on the side, because it was like it was way less stressful than it is now, because you just do it on the weekends. You do it on Friday and Saturday as a hobby and make a few bucks here and there, and it's fun and it's a good time. But doing it now is really, really fun. It does get taxing a little bit, to where some of my team might be like, hey, I need you to do this, or I sent you this, can you post this or that or whatever, or what happened to the post you were supposed to make today? And there's sometimes I'm like, nope, I just need a break from everything. Just everybody can F off for the day. I just need to, I need to go hunt or fish or build something. I just need to get away from everything. It's definitely a lot of fun. But I do miss that. Though a lot. That work your ass off 8 hours a day for 6 or 7 days and go play on the weekends. So that stuff was fun.
I was gonna say, I mean that's how a lot of people. I mean that's kind of to me the old fashioned way of folks breaking into the industry. You know, kind of you work all day, you play, you get a following. Next thing you know, you move on up, bigger cities, bigger places, and
show up to your show covered in dirt and grease and dust and shit under your fingernail. I mean, that's how me and my wife met. You know, like I was working my day job, and a buddy of mine asked if I would open for his band on a weekend, and I was like, shit, yeah, let's go. And then my wife and her friend came up to watch the band. I was opening for him. I saw her walk across. She saw me playing. Game over. You know, like. I can't say that I don't miss that. You know.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Now a little one's on the way, and man, it's crazy full circle. And my last question for you, you kind of touched on this already because you mentioned you got an album coming. But what can people expect from you in this new year now that we're in 2022?
I would say they can expect a lot. We like I said, we have 2 records coming out. I have my first full length record coming out in March. First 10-song record that includes the four singles I released last year, and then I have another full 10-song record coming out at the end of this year, last quarter of this year also. So there's a lot of music coming out. We're gonna be on the road a bunch. I'll be playing here in Nashville a ton. So if you guys anytime you guys are down here, anyone that's watching or listening, hit me up on Instagram. Send me slide it, or as they say nowadays, slide into my DMs or whatever.
Hey, that could get you in trouble.
Yeah, I know. Good, yeah. Be nice, all right. Be nice, but be nice if you're gonna slide into my DMs. But no, seriously, hit me up on Instagram. People ask me, I get fans all the time. Hey, we're coming from Washington or California or fucking Nebraska or whatever, and like they're like, you gonna be playing in Nashville around this time? I always get back to everybody. So if you guys are ever in town, just hit me up on Instagram. Don't hit me up on Facebook because I'm never on there. But just message me on Instagram and I'll let you know if I'm playing in town here or if I'm out of town or whatever. But there's a few things this year that's gonna happen that are gonna be happening that I also can't speak on yet. But we got some big stuff coming. Yeah.
I like the tease though. I love it. Yeah. I love it when someone gives me a little tease, gives us something to look forward to. And if you want to find out more about Josh, jgmusic.net. He's also on all the social media. Just search Josh Gallagher. Josh, it's been a blast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. I'd definitely love to come back on here and drink some more beers and shit like it for sure.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it. Maybe when that second album drops.
Yeah, man, come on, let's go. I'm down.